This is ACOFAE. Laura Marie and Jessica Marie proudly present A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, a podcast. Fair warning, everything the hosts say is explicit, full of spoilers and adult content and shall not be used against them. They have opinions. Let's try not to drag anyone for expressing themselves and just have fun for an hour. We all deserve it.
There will be spoilers in this episode specifically from the world Sarah J. Maas has created, as well as topics mentioning sex work, physical violence, and substance abuse.
Everybody, and welcome to A Court of Fandoms and Exploration, your weekly deep dive into the YA literature and fandoms that we love. I'm Laura Marie.
And I'm Jessica Marie.
And today we are discussing A Crown of Gilded Bones by Jennifer L. Armentrout, and I really found this book to be completely refreshing.
I loved it. I mean, in true form, I just finished this book.
True form.
True form. 10 minutes before we started recording, and I couldn't even wait. I just started sending Laura my reaction videos. I liked it. I was so happy. I had chills. This series, JLA, knows how to leave a cliffhanger. But now we had the first two books back to back, and now we gotta wait. Yeah, we get the prequel or like the Nikto story in the fall. But I need some more of Kick-Ass Poppy.
We need more Kick-Ass Poppy. So let's talk about Kick-Ass Poppy. Kick-Ass Poppy is a fucking god. G-O-D, period, full stop, step back.
When she goes, I was a god, I immediately thought of Aelin. She goes, I am a god. It just, my love for Aelin. I think everybody knows their love for Aelin at this point. Talk about power and holding on to it. She knew who she was. We love Poppy. And she admitted to herself because she kind of kept pushing it aside through I'm not a god. I'm not even a deity. And Cass would keep telling her well, you're my goddess. You're the, and she didn't even say goddess. She was like, I am a god. Just recognizing that lack of pronoun in the symbol of God was all encompassing too. I just thought of it.
So Jess and I have not talked about this very much at all during the week. We've had just a lot going on. So my favorite, I have a lot of favorite parts in this book, but one of my favorite parts is when Poppy learns Cass is taken, right? She comes back from meeting with Isbeth, and she's going to confront Cass's mom, right? And she walks in, and the two advisors are there, and one of them gives her respect, and then Gregory doesn't, and she's just like, I've had enough of this. I don't care if you fucking like me or not, but I am your queen. And she just she chews him out, and it's so, it's perfect. I need more of this.
I need more of that. I love it. And she goes, and then she's like, and not only am I a queen, I am a god, and you've been disrespecting me this entire time. That whole scene, I already this whole book, I just kept thinking I could visualize it so much. I visualize them in the tower, the mini coronation, the fight scenes when Poppy goes back to the Oak Ember to talk to, we find out King Jalara, and just the savagery going on from the beginning to the end, really. And all I could think of is, please do not Passion Flicks take this and destroy it. I need HBO content. I need Game of Thrones level of massacre and violence. It's there. It's on the paper. You can't not visualize it. And just Poppy owning, coming to terms with herself and respecting herself too, and not making it this thing to feel weak about. She was just another heroine that I bow to. I love her so much.
so much.
And I told you, like, I go, we're going to try Halloween again for 2021. I mean, I was Bryce last year. I go, this year I'm going to be Poppy. And that was before this book. Now, so.
Yeah, hands down. Some things about, I love this book. I'm going to say that now. I love this book. There are some things that bother me about this book, though. And I feel like it'll be a kind of a common criticism. The fucking names. I have a problem with the names. God. Malik, Malek, Ileana.
we just talked about this.
Ileana, Iloana, Niktos, Nectus. Did you pick up on that one?
I did.
It's like, what the fuck is this? There are other names.
And then I wonder, I don't know if it's because typically with reading, you see it on the page, so it might not be processed similarly. But hearing it, I remember at one point in the beginning of the book, I go, oh my gosh, Cass's brother is her dad or something. And you go, no, that's Malik, not Malik. Malek, because we were doing the audio. At one point I go, you know what? I'm just going to match the audio with the reading because it's going to throw me off because of just what we're listening to.
And the audio, let's give the praise where the praise is due. Stina Nielsen does the absolute most with this. Oh my God.
In the best way possible. Like everything. She acted her ass off, and she doesn't stop the entire way through. She does not stop. It's amazing. And it just brings the characters that much more to life.
And, I was trying to imagine what it must be like for her in the recording studio, right? Because she's got to like flip back. She's reading like line by line. It's not like she's reading all of Poppy's stuff and then going back in and reading all of Cass's stuff. Like you're just reading the page. Like you have to switch your accents and your voices, and like you have to do that as you go through. So I just am astounded by her talent, and the way that she reads Cass and Poppy is just stunning. I love it so much. So Stina Nielsen, all praise.
When you read a book and it's not the audio version, do you give the characters different voices in your head? It's been so long, I can't remember.
No,
right?
No,
So
I don't.
I do like the audio version, like when the narrator gives the characters different voices, because there are audiobooks where they just read as is.
Yeah, fucking flat. I like that Castile in the audio has like a slight accent, right?
So hot. He's just hot in this whole book. Yeah. Like no matter whether they're talking about strategizing or, things he wants to do to Poppy or teasing her. I mean, that man, he literally can do no wrong. And it was funny because I was reading this book this week and then I was driving, with my stuff going on, and Cardi B's Up comes on and I go, so, I'm just like, I was like, singing with it. And there's this line that Cardi goes, if this person had a twin, I would let him run a train. And I'm thinking about it. And now I'm also reading this book this week. And I'm like, I understand this now. I understand this lyric.
It's like, it all makes sense. Castile is just, he's beyond, right? Like we all have our book significant others, but he is really climbing up there. Every new book we get with him, he just goes like a notch higher. Okay.
Well, otherwise we're going to go which is fine. I could drown in but we can drown in the quotes and everything.
We can drown in his liquid amber warm honey eyes.
I'm going to just I should just get my Daft Boy fan and just fan myself the entire episode. But one quote that really bothered me, and it wasn't from him, it was just from Poppy when she was like, you are my foundation that helps me stand. You are my walls and my roof, my shelter. You are my home. And you know how I feel about putting your own self completely dependent on somebody else. And I think, I know it's just a book. I know it's fantasy, whatever. But I have such a problem with that because when shit hits the fan and if that rug gets pulled out from under you, who do you have? You have to have some sort of strength in yourself. And I'm glad that Poppy finds that later on. But in the beginning of the book, when, you know, she's saying that, like, you're everything to me, like, you also have to be everything to yourself. And that was just, but then, like, it's like that TikTok where you're like, oh, you know, I'm a feminist. And then you read books like this and you're like, did my feminism just go out the window? But no, because I have that critique. But I do love when she's like, he was beautiful, he's brave, he's accepting, he's kind, he's ferocious, but he's mine. And like when her jealousy pops up in the book, I go, okay, there we go. Like that's relatable. I think we could all relate to, excuse me, like, yeah, he's hot and he's mine. Like, step back.
You know, that's a good point. I also kind of felt that way about the spice. The spice was good. Obviously, it's an excellent spice level. But like, how many times do we have to have them fuck and be like, I love you. You're my everything. You and I together will defeat everything. And
can't they just fuck?
yeah. Well, yeah. Like sometimes I don't need the I love you. You're my everything. You complete me bullshit. Sometimes you just want to get railed over a desk, which she does get. Yeah. Which is this. Okay. That scene where.
Wait, which one? Wait, you're talking about with the Willa Collins diary?
I'm talking about the diary. I love that. That is so much fun. I just loved it. I was like this the whole time. I had my hands just like on my face. I was like, oh my God.
That was so like, I was happy for her. I was happy for me in that moment too, because I was like, yes.
For real. And I like that, Willa is a real person. She's alive and thriving, and she's old and she's powerful, and she knows that Poppy has read her diary, and she
knows. Like, how did she know? Was it just because she's a seer?
I think just because Poppy's super fucking awkward about it around her.
She's like, oh, Willa. And she's like, you found my diary, did you?
Yeah, she's like, I know where it is. I know where you were. Yeah. I love it. I love it.
I do. And I do love how much Cass acknowledges the book too. He's like, I love that fucking book. I love that fucking book.
It's like, read me your favorite scenes. Oh.
Or he's like, just pick a page. Or like when they're at the beach. Oh, they're at the beach.
Okay, let's talk about the beach. Let's preference this. Okay, I am salty about the lack of joining. I'm salty about it. I'm mad about it. I wanted a joining. I can see where they're going with it, and I can see where we'll get it later. But fuck.
Everybody wanted a joining in this book. I'm just kind of proud of myself from a previous episode where I go, wait, so she never said there was the joining. This is just speculation. However, yeah, there still wasn't a joining. But then there's a part where Cass and Poppy are crowned like queen and king, and Kieran comes in and he's like, you wanted to see me? And they're going to talk about him being the advisor. And he immediately was like, oh, is this about the joining? Like it's set up to know that there's a joining. And then Isbeth, I won't say Ileana to like not confuse myself. Isbeth makes a comment of who's joined to you. And she goes, they all are. So I'm wondering if there's going to be a joining down the line.
I think so.
To like strengthen everything that's going on.
Oh, okay. I think there's going to be a joining later on because Poppy is eternal, right? She's a god. Castile is long-lived. He's not eternal. So, and then Kieran is bonded to Poppy, so he'll stay alive as long as she's alive. And, so I think so too. That will be the situation there.
I don't know if it'll happen in the fourth book or not the fourth, the next one for this. But it has to happen at this point because there's, especially like with the way they love each other, there's no way she's like, I'm not going to be a goddess and not have Castile by my side this entire time. Like, no, that's not how this is.
Yeah. Or, they get him back and he's dying and they have to, it's there. It's there.
It's going to happen, but maybe that's why she didn't write it. She knew what the people wanted And so she's like giving us a taste for more later.
Or, and this just occurred to me, she's using the beach scene to kind of ramp up Poppy's experience so that like she sees a foursome. She sees like all the sucking and fucking. She's aware of it. So it's not just like, okay, she's a virgin now who's like never given head before. And then, you know, she couldn't just get thrust into a threesome. So I think it's like kind of a slow build
like an
up.
Exposure. Also that it's all consensual. Like it's all, you know, and Castile keeps saying like, oh, you know, we're really into public displays of affection. And is that what you had in mind? And like, she's already very inquisitive and she's just kind of like dipping her toes in the water for certain things. So,
but this is a good example of why I really hate when authors do excerpts, right? Because it was all that build up for fucking nothing.
The foursome thing was just about Willa Collins. It was just a scene from Willa Collins' diary that they were talking about.
Yeah, it was nothing. So I really hate when authors do that to try to like build hype. Of course, I know why, but it never makes sense in the context of like the whole book. You know, it's just like you can pull an excerpt from anything and make it mean something.
I don't know. I mean, yes, entirely with this book. But I think with ACOFAE, it was a little bit like we knew where the context was, with the exception of Cass in the library with Nesta.
Right.
I think everything else is like pretty straightforward. Like you knew Az was saying it and we were excited. We just wanted to know the bigger picture. Like I didn't feel like we were misled.
And I also feel like in the Silver Flames situation, when Sarah doing those excerpts, we're so familiar with the characters and the places and the story and their personalities and how they interact with each other that it was like, okay. But with this, it's new still. There's still like new stuff going on. It just hits different.
And we get new characters, but I feel like there's still, you bring up a good point where Sarah, we know the characters. I mean, we've given them personalities on TikTok at this point. And now it's very much we have characters, but we still really only know Poppy, Castile, and Kieran, more or less. And Alistair, but like we always knew Alistair was sus.
Yeah.
Like
capital
so
S-U-S.
Like, and here we are. Here we fucking are.
You know, and okay, so Alistair is part of that group that is like the like radicals, right? Like they think Poppy's evil and she's gonna like take over because of, you know what I think? I feel like they're just the old farts of the kingdom, like the old men that are just like, oh, we don't want this new outsider child.
The court is kind of like that too, with some of the older members, like Gregory's like that. I say some because
because Willa is not like that.
No, and neither was the female who was taking the place of Jasper. I mean, granted, she's woven, but the court for Atlantia is also more diverse.
Right.
Like in who they were like, we have an Atlantean, we have like a mortal. They have Rose, who is mortal, who's the palace manager.
Yeah.
You know, like there's just more acceptance there. I don't know. Just like from what I was reading with this book.
Yeah, you make a good point. It's all probably old men that are pissy because, and the women are not pissy. Willa is one of the oldest people that's there. And she's like, no, she's the fucking queen. Like, what is wrong with you? And I like that even Castile's mom never hesitates, right? She's like, no, you are queen. And I like how Castile's mom does not let Poppy go on her bullshit, right? She calls out Poppy on her bullshit every single time. And then it's nice at the very end where it comes full circle where Poppy calls out her on her bullshit.
I remember when they're having that walk in the garden and Loana.
Yeah.
I'm going to call her Ellie.
It'd be fucking easier.
So I'm going to do that now. So Ellie takes Poppy out to the garden and she goes, I can imagine, because they're talking about like, Poppy's just been freed. She's not under the ascendant anymore. She's no longer the maiden. And then Ellie goes, I can imagine your need for freedom and control over your life, but frankly, I don't care. And that may sound cruel and many horrific things are forced upon people throughout their lives. Their freedoms, their choices, they're unfairly stripped from them, but their tragedies are no greater than yours, and yours is no greater than theirs. I put down the book for a hot second just to send you a reaction thing, because how often do we see that? Like, how often do we see somebody being called on their shit and you're like, ooh, she's right. And, it's just like, it's a moment of reflectiveness. And I remember there was like something I was really upset about in therapy. And I was just like, of course, like your issues and your traumas are your own. And I'm not dismissing them whatsoever. But like my therapist at one point was like, I had a previous client who came in for like this other terrible thing. And I was like, well, now I feel like we should just cancel our session, because now like mine seems like how I'm feeling right now seems so insignificant compared to like what this other patient was going through. And he's like, no, but that's not the point. The point is your traumas are your traumas. However, like people are still going through their own shit. Like, and I thought that was really interesting for Ellie to say like, yeah, everyone's going to go through their own shit, but everybody's going through their own shit. Like, it's not just you. And I thought that was really important for her to say.
It is really important for her to say. And it's really important for Poppy to hear.
Yeah, because, and we love Cass, but he does have rose-colored glasses when it comes to Poppy at times. She can do no wrong. Even if it's wrong, he's like, oh
my God. When Isbeth has Poppy, right? And she's like, just murdered Ian. And it's that whole thing. And like Poppy is and Castile goes, you want the kingdom? Let her go. You can have it. I was going to kill him. I was going to walk into the pages and fucking strangle him. What are you doing?
It doesn't surprise me that he did that, but I was just like, no, you can't do that. You can't do that. It's the bigger picture that we always like, of course, from like the romantic part of me is like, oh, but like the actual part of me is like, what the fuck are you doing? You can't do that. And my God, but then I almost think Poppy was about to do that once she was about to storm Oak Amber again, and Kieran had to stop her. He was pushing her away, and it was the Revenant handmaiden who goes, hold on, are you really mad at these people? And like it kind of had to like pull her back in, because I do understand. I love that Poppy is a act now, question later kind of person, because you've even brought that up, because so often we kind of internalize things. But she did have to be forced to take a step back, because it's not just her anymore. It is about she's not just a princess anymore. She is a queen. She is the queen of Atlantia and a god. She can't just act all the time anymore. And I think that is what helps her put her in that political position of understanding the bigger picture.
And, it just kind of frustrates me with Cass, too, because he did this before. He did this when he ascended, I'm putting that in quotes, Poppy.
Right.
When in the battlefield. And I love that battle. I love that battle so much. Like you said, you can visualize it. I can absolutely visualize it. It has the same energy as when Cass and Azrael land on the ice when Feyre and Lucien are running, and like Cass showing up with Kieran when she's like strapped to the table with the bones on her is the same energy. And in that battle, I also really, really love that Castile's dad is fighting with him.
Yeah.
Right.
I really thought that was so sweet. And then she goes, thank you for coming to save me. And she thanks them. She was thanking everybody. And she was just really surprised, because she knew like how their relationship, like the introduction started. And he goes, your family, of why wouldn't I be here for you? I love, you could see it slowly developing, almost more like her relationship with Valen is going to be important. Like she's going to seek her relationship with Ellie. Well, maybe not now, but initially she's like, this is going to be the person that I'm going to seek a lot of advice. But Valen, I think probably she's always been around more men in her upbringing. And when you think of Victor, like her relationship with Victor, I think she's going to kind of see Valen like that, because he's like, I see the way my son looks at you. I know the love that he has for you. He's just kind of like, he's the new father role in her life that she gets to have. And I think that's really special. Even at the end, he's like, can you promise me something? Can you just give when you see Malik before, if you see Malik before I do, you give him a quick death. Like I think he understands the balance of being a ruler of a kingdom, as well as the love that he has for his significant other, because he does love Ellie the way that, the way Castile loves Poppy in their own way. It's just like been hundreds of years. So it's probably, I don't want to say it's fizzled, because it hasn't. We just don't see it. But like, it's deep there, He didn't have another love before her. Ellie's still like, she's like, shit, I think I probably never really got over Malak.
Ugh. Wait, okay. I want to talk about that, but I still want I still want to talk about Cass ascending Poppy. Because Valen is there too. And Valen is screaming at Cass to not do this, right? Because it's history repeating itself.
Absolutely. We already know that world building part of it.
And really, it is exactly history repeating itself. Because we find out later that Isbeth is not ascended. She's not a vampire. She's something else. Of course, we know that she's Poppy's mother as well. But Poppy becomes ascended, quote, quote, and she is also something else. But like Cass is doing it, and what the earth rumbles, right? And like all this, there's like vines and trees trying to like pull her.
I didn't know if they were pulling her, because the way I imagined it, like the roots came up and caged them. And I didn't know if the roots were trying to, at first I didn't think it was going to pull them in. And then I go, what if they're it's like the earth protecting Poppy and Cass from anybody else, like interfering this, because like in hindsight, now that we know that she's a god, it was like the earth's, the gods or whatever way of saying, we need to protect this ascension, if you will.
Right. And then she wakes up and sucks and fucks Cass with Kieran in the room.
In the room.
He's in the room. He's watching.
My face was so. I sent you my reaction. You even sent it back to me.
Yeah.
You were like, "Here's my reaction."
Here's mine. I was like, "Holy shit!"
I really was like, "Oh, is Kieran in the room?" I go, "Well, he hasn't said anything, so he might have been
must have left." Is what I thought.
He must have left at some point, and he didn't.
And then he's just like, "You're taking too much." It's like, "Whoa, where are you?"
Out of left field. And like, what is he? And like, Kieran, like, what are you just like in a reading chair in the corner? Are you just like glancing up from the paper, looking like, you done yet? Like, or are you just like,
as she's like riding him, right? That's right? She's she's on top, but she's also like sucking blood from him.
Yeah,
but also fucking him at the same time.
Yeah,
which Cass loves.
Of course.
And Kieran is, oh my God. But then
like, it's not even like that it's not even that they're like hooking up. It's like Kieran is there just watching the whole,
it's as close to the joining as we're going to get.
To each their own. If that's what people are into, like, I'm not going to judge you. I'm just judging for myself. If that were me, I would be. And I mean, Poppy even came out. She was like, I'm so embarrassed. And then, Kieran like teases her about it too.
Well, and then the beach. So let's talk about the beach. Poppy cannot take her eyes off of Kieran getting a blowjob on the beach, and that is okay. First of all, Kieran is gorgeous, so I probably would look too if this big public setting they're just like on the beach, right?
Well, let's just remember like our last like our Kingdom of Flesh and Fire episode. We were like, oh, Reggie-Jean Page should play Kieran. And then you think about episode 6 on, and I was like, well, I was watching Bridgerton. I was watching Kieran do all that stuff too, I guess.
It's like we were watching him, come into a napkin so we can watch him get sucked on the beach, I guess, Poppy. And I like that Kieran brings it up. He's like, you were watching me on the beach. And she's like, oh, God.
Well, and then, like, Cass is obviously like, you like that. And, I don't know.
Well, they get frisky on the beach, too, in public in front of everybody. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He was like slipping his hand under her dress and stuff. And then she's like, I want to take you. She's like, I want to go somewhere. And he's like, you sure? And she's like, no.
Yeah. For her first blowjob. Which I think is hysterical because Castile stops her. He's like, I'm not going to last long. And I'm not sure if you know what to do when that happens. She's like, oh, I know what to do. I was like, do you, Poppy? Oh.
I just like, there's certain things where I'm like, I just, I don't know how Poppy's mind works. But like, they've obviously slept together and she knows what happens when he finishes. So why wouldn't she know what would happen if she was going down on him? I don't know.
I think Cass just wanted confirmation that she was a swallow, not a spit. What's the other reason for saying that?
He says it in such a classy way. So I mean, the way he delivers things, I'm like, oh.
Well, that's Stina. That's all Stina. We love men written by women.
Oh, can they exist, please?
Can they please exist in real life? Okay, let's move on.
Sure.
Let's move on. And I want to talk about people have said that the info dump in this book has turned them off of it and that it's very difficult to follow and that they are very confused about what's happening. I do not feel that way at all.
I don't feel that way. I think it was almost in a way helpful because there was a lot of stuff that I either forgot or I was still confused after the second book, like after the first 2 books. So it helped me understand things more. Something I'm still confused about is, okay, Malek was never fully killed because he was a god or whatever. And Ellie said that she entombed him. And then they were like, oh my God, did he get out? And they're like, no, he didn't get out. But Isbeth has been around this whole time. She never died. We find out that Isbeth is also Poppy's mother. We also know Poppy is 19. So where is Malek? At what point did Isbeth sleep with Malek to be impregnated with Poppy 19 years ago?
That didn't happen because Malek is not Poppy's father.
It was his twin.
It was his twin.
Oh, that's right. Oh,
the cave cat shifter that is locked up is
her father.
That's
right. Okay, that's right. I'm like, I'm getting like he kind of looked like, and maybe this is just based on like fan art because they're like he has long hair. Blah blah blah.
Are you getting Gabriel vibes?
I was getting Lucian
vibes. Oh, okay.
No, because he's red hair.
Yeah. See, I said the red hair reminds me of like Fox, but he was in a cat. So then I was thinking of Gabriel because he's a lion. That's cat.
I imagine the cats like Black Panthers.
Cave cats, yeah. God, I'm so glad that cave cat thing paid off because I was so fucking sick of her repeating it all the time. I saw a cave cat.
You knew it was going to be something and they were like, that's not what you saw. And she's, and Poppy's like, no, like I know what I saw. That it was a cave cat. They're like they've been dead for hundreds of years. Maybe the cave cats themselves have been dead for hundreds of years, but we know that he was, Iris.
I think it's Iris. Yeah,
Iris the shifter. Iris. It wasn't Iris.
It's not Iris. Yeah, it's an I.
IRES.
Iris. Yeah. So okay. This is controversial. My favorite character so far is Isbeth. I love Isbeth. She is fascinating to me. I would want to play her. If I had any talent and I don't, I would want to play her because I think it would be so much fun.
I think it would be fun. Isbeth, when she was like giving her some of her like delivery and like what she was announcing to everybody, it reminded me very much of Amarantha. Her taking Cass, I was just like, oh my God. And knowing what she punished her stepson, essentially. Or no, I take that back. No,
they're not related.
No, they're not related. Imagine Amarantha, like, I'm sure there's like a fanfic out there somewhere. If Rhys got recaptured by Amarantha enduring everything, like one of those, like, what if, like, this is how everything spun off. But I will say, you hear her backstory, and the two immediate cliches that come to mind was hell hath no fury like a woman scorned, and revenge is a dish best served cold. Like, relatable. I get it. Totally would do the same thing. And you almost feel for her, understanding, oh shit, like this isn't unwarranted. And then it makes you think, like, Castiel's brother, Malik, he's like, I'm on her side, basically. And I don't think he's ascended. He's like literally choosing to be on her side after knowing what his mom does. And it also reminded me of, you know, the quote, you either live long enough to die the hero or
you become the villain.
You become the villain. That's what this kind of reminded me of.
Oh, sure. Because, okay, let's be very clear here. All of this started because Castiel's mom was jealous.
She was, that's
it.
What it is.
That's all it is.
She poisoned Isbeth with belladonna.
Mm-hmm.
Malek wasn't having it. He went to ascend her, and because of who she was,
and we don't know exactly what that is.
She didn't become like a full vampire. And even Isbeth said, she's like, all they needed to do was like renounce their actions and give me my son. And Ellie was just like, she straight up said, it was my ego, you know, this person, like, look at what Malek was doing for her. Like, he loved me, but not as much as he loved her.
He confided in Isbeth, and Ellie says, like, that stings more than it should.
Right.
Yeah.
And even now when she found out, she did. Yeah. And I just, it's so, I get it. I get both sides of it. And I say that because I've been in that situation where you're just like gut punched. You're like, this person just came along, and how can you love her more than me? What about our time spent together? Like, it fucking sucks. Like, it, you know, it is a gut punch. So like, I get where both sides are coming from. I do. I'm not saying it's okay. I'm not, you know, but I'm not saying, it's relatable.
I do really hate, though, that it's two women fighting over a man that started a war. I hate that. Like, why did it have to be that? Like,
yeah,
there could have been some other plot device than making women fight each other.
At its core, it's two women fighting, mad at each other for a man's choices.
Over a man, yeah.
And not just a man, but his choices. It's like when you have it's like when you get mad at the other woman in the relationship. If she didn't know, especially if she didn't know, you can't get mad at her. She didn't know. Like, be mad at the guy.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't like that. And to kind of piggyback off of that, I don't like the ending. I mean, I like the ending of this book, but I don't like the ending of this book because Poppy is, you know, she's going to war. Yes, obviously, but like, I'm going to get my man back. Like, that is not the priority, Poppy. The priority, as the theme of this book, is like the greater good, the bigger picture. It's like the bigger picture is not getting your husband back. The bigger picture is toppling the blood crown, you know? And like she says over and over that she's a god. Castile is not. She can do it on her own. She commands an army of Wolven and an army of dragons.
Dragons! I love the dragons showed up.
Oh my God. Nektos. But, you know, and then we've got to find Nektos's daughter and then Poppy's father. You know, we've got to find all those people, and the dragons are out there to find those two. And that's why, you know, because they're being held, and that's why they're working with Poppy and like this whole thing. And I really
hope we get like a good battle scene payoff. Like, I think with the combination of the Wolven, I'm probably I'm thinking of Fenris, and then with the Draken, I'm obviously thinking of like the Wyverns, and in my head, this could be a huge Kingdom of Ash level battle in my head. But I just, it's not going to go there. Like, I don't know. Kingdom of Ash is just like top tier for me. There's still like, you can't hide a wyvern. You can't hide these dragons. I will say the dragons are smaller than I thought. She was like, oh, they're the size, the length of 6 horses.
Yeah. I was expecting them to be a lot bigger, like Game of Thrones type dragons.
Yeah.
But alas. But we'll take what we can get, right? We always want a dragon. Dragons are fucking rad.
Yeah, they're rad. I was going off of a different topic. I don't want that to be like, I don't know about
I don't really
dragons.
like dragons.
No, I love dragons. No. But it was just from I'm just thinking about the whole women fighting over a man. But then there's the parts where I think of how Poppy truly sees Castile as her equal. She wants it represented in their crests.
I hate that. I hate that. I don't like that.
And even the Wolven were like, you're going to be taking powers. So we would have the arrow. The arrow is the queen. The sword is the king. The arrow would be bigger. And she's like, no, we're equals. But they aren't.
They aren't equal. Yeah, exactly. They aren't equal. Like, Poppy, make it like 3 centimeters taller. Like, come on. Like, be proud. You don't need.
Exactly. And you notice that in the coronation because they're like, they have like, please rise. They like, obviously, like they knight Castile as king, and then they have Poppy as queen, and then they announce their titles, and she goes first, and she makes a comment of like how surprised she was that they announced her, Poppy Balfour Denier, Queen of Flesh and Fire, and Castile as king. And she just makes and I know that's probably part of like growing up in Macedonia and just being part of the Ascendant, and it's so like patriarchal rule, but like she's just constantly, she's thinking she's just doesn't realize her power. Like, she's still trying to be, I can't even say humble. She's in denial.
It also really, I'm sorry, this crest thing really annoys me. But the other thing that really annoys me is when she's talking to Rose and she's like, I'd like the crest changed. And Rose is like, okay, well, I'll let literally everybody know in the city that they're going to have a shitload of work to do because you want this one thing that is going to change. And, we have to restitch the leather and recarve the I was just like, fuck you, Poppy. This is not important right now.
Well, in fairness, Poppy did say, she's like, it doesn't have to be done now. It's just like something that can be done eventually. Like, there's no rush delivery on it.
But it's like, why?
Then why bring it up?
Yeah. Like, why? I don't know. I am just so for a powerful female main character that doesn't doubt herself and like doesn't need a man but has one, and they have a loving relationship, right? I'm all for that, but I just want somebody like Aelin to be like, I'm the most fucking powerful, and you are a king consort. Like, me first.
And struts and knows and owns every single facet of that power.
Yeah, I want that. And yeah, the crest just bothers me. It's also, why is the man the sword? Is it because of the man has a penis and a sword is a big extension of a dick? I don't know. That bothered me too. And like an arrow is like, what, daintier? I don't know. It has a smaller tip. I don't know. It bothered me. These little things.
No, but that makes sense. It absolutely makes sense. Especially like if you want to refer to things like with the male gaze, that's exactly what this is, an extension of that, which is weird when it's a female writer.
Yeah. Right. Like,
or is it like, or are you like, oh, well, the sword, it's for, but it falls into like a typical, preset notion of, oh, the sword is for the man because the man is the one who's fighting, and all this. And that's one of the things that I love that Cass says at a certain point where he's like, I understand the need for her to, like, not only can she defend herself, she needs to be able to. Your need to defend yourself is greater than like my fear. And I like that he does make it a point that she needs to fight. She needs to learn to fight, because he's also not always going to be there as much as he wants to. Like, he likes the idea that she can fight her own battles, you know, and not be like, oh, where's Poppy? Like, he's going to still be concerned, but he knows she can handle her own. And he even tells her at one point when they were getting attacked by the unseen again, he's like, take them all out.
Yeah,
there's
that
a
was
sense
such
of pride
a great,
there.
That was a great scene. Oh, so good. And also I like that, because that happens pretty early on when they're getting attacked by the unseen. I think the first time, yes. And then again on the way. Yeah, and she doesn't want anyone to get hurt, so that's when she uses her power. I like that at the very end, before Poppy kills King Jalara, she's like, I don't have to think about it. I don't have to build it up. I just do. I just am. And Jess, I mentioned this to you earlier. I really like that this book did not have a fucking training montage. No one was teaching Poppy how to become a god and use her powers. She did it on her own. And it was just like this quick, like, I trained myself how to fight like a god, and I did this, this, and this. It wasn't this whole thing. And I like that.
And I love that you see the training, like the fake training montage of just her acknowledging her training herself as a god. But she was doing that even earlier on in the book when she was realizing her connection with the Wolven. And she goes, when everybody was resting, she would like focus her powers in like understanding their essence and their sense. And then she was learning, like with that, she was learning their names and then forming the connections with each one of them individually. So she can like strengthen her, like this power that she has with the Wolven, and use that later on. So she could like just check in with her people in a way.
Yeah, that is really good. As I said in the beginning, refreshing. Very refreshing. It's good. I mean, obviously I have problems with it, but it's very good. I was stoked at the end of this. It was just like, oh, it's another really good read. Ooh. We haven't talked about Ian at all.
Oh yeah. Did you think that he, like, what was your thoughts with his reveal?
I remember I was listening to it and I was also playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And I was trying to like burn these silos in Assassin's Creed. I had to like shoot this arrow. I had to set this arrow on fire, and then I had to shoot these silos to burn them down. And it was making a lot of noise. It was like fire is like crackling. And I was like, okay, this is really important because Ian is here. I need to pay attention. So I had to put the game down. I like Ian. I like how Stina does the voices for the Revenants and for Ian and for the King. She gives them a very like hard kind of American accent. I don't know if you noticed that, to like differentiate between everybody else. And I think there's something to that. Like there's a reason for that, why the Revenants are so like hard American accents, and like why Ian was like that too, because Poppy's not like that. I was surprised. I wasn't expecting Ian. And I was like, is he ascended? And he was, so there was that. But also, he was still kind of in there.
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting. And I want to go back into that, I guess, because they were saying that the ascended, it kind of depends on how you were as a person, right? If you were a good person.
Yeah, that was interesting to find out later.
Yeah. Because, like, if you were a good person, like a really good person, then you kind of retain some of that when you become ascended, and that helps you control your hunger. I was not clear.
Or given a personality, it seems.
Yeah.
Like, because the Revenant handmaiden goes, I liked him. He was different than the rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that goes back to a conversation that Poppy has with, I don't know, fucking someone, where they're like, are you just going to like burn all the ascended? She's like, no, they're not all bad. Some of them can control their hunger. Like we should give them a chance. And then like later she's like, no, I'm going to fucking murder all of them.
But then when Isbeth, she goes, look what you made me do. He was like a son to me. Bitch, nobody made you do it. You killed him yourself.
Oh yeah. I really like Isbeth. I think she's a very okay. Oh, okay. Something that really didn't sit right with me is when Isbeth's like great reveal, right? We got Cass there, we got Kieran there, we got Poppy, we got Ian. Is Tawny? Yeah, Tawny's in there.
Tawny's there, yeah.
Tawny's there. And Isbeth comes in and they're describing her, right? And she sounds gorgeous. But then then they say that she has a jet nose ring.
Oh, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, and I was like, wait, why? That's a weird detail to put on this like big bad villain.
Okay.
Like, are we demonizing nose rings now? Is that like a weird thing? I don't know. It was like a really strange detail that didn't need to be there.
Has a nose ring.
It's just like, why? Like, why? I don't know.
Nose rings are part of like the evil description.
Yeah, like the evil people wear nose rings, or the evil queen wears a nose ring, and it was a weird detail that I didn't think was necessary. That was jarring to me. That made me go, what?
I didn't even pick up on that. I didn't even remember that description.
Well, yeah, I'm sure I'm probably one of the only ones. It's just like, it's so fucking weird.
What did you think of Elysium? Like, I visualized like the Parthenon or the Acropolis, when they were where Nektas was like sleeping, and then a trail of diamonds, and Nyktos was at the stairs. Like, I just imagine this beautiful Greek architecture. Like, it was very Athens-y to me.
Well, yeah, because I have to think that Elysium is actually just Elysium.
Right.
Which is paradise in Greek mythology. I don't want to fuck that up. But you were in Elysium, Roman, pretty sure. Because that's what Maximus says in Gladiator. You were in Elysium. So it must be Elysium. Elysium. Yeah. I mean, obviously, the fuck with the names. God. But yeah, stunning, right? Although I didn't like when they were walking on the diamonds and they were like crunching them. It made me think of like stepping on bugs or something. I was just like, skeeve me out. Diamonds? The fuck we crushing diamonds for?
How are we being so like, oh, these are just diamonds, and they're so casual about it? Like, I forget how they're made by the gods, like gods when they're upset or cry or something.
I hope Kieran was behind there with like a bucket, just taking a bunch of them.
Right? And they're acting like we see diamonds all the time. They don't have diamonds anywhere else. So why are we being so casual that you literally have a trail of diamond? Where's Poppy and her engagement ring? Where's her queen ring? Like,
yeah, just pick one.
Decked
Damn.
out. And then they're talking about, King Jalara and his crown of rubies. Fuck your rubies. Give me those diamonds.
Yeah, for real. I don't know. That's just the practical side of the two of us being like, pick up all those fucking diamonds. I like when the skeletons rise up, right? That's kind of cool. I really like that. It was very Jason and the Argonauts for me. I dug it.
Yes. And then, that's such a good comparison. I didn't even think of that till you said it. I like that they couldn't. Delano makes me chuckle. He reminds me of Fenris so much because they were trying to kill them, and clearly he just like tries to cut off a head. He's like, you can't cut off the head. You can't cut off the head. It just makes me laugh because I know Delano's also the one who in the last book they're like, gonna get stabbed, definitely gonna get stabbed. Like his just little one-offs, it just reminds me of Fenris, and it puts but like in his own way, because obviously like he's more talkative than Fenris. I never thought that I would like side characters the way that I do, but he grows on you. He's so loyal to Poppy. I mean, they all are, but obviously like there's going to be certain Wolven who have that they have more of an affinity towards her and vice versa. And I initially thought when they were talking about advisors, and I thought like each person needed their advisor.
So did I, yeah.
I thought she was either going to say, I thought she was going to say Delano, or she was just going to say Vanetta. But I really thought that it was going to be those two, which I thought I wouldn't mind. Like there's like a head advisor and like subsidiary advisors, but
yeah. So Elysium, fucking same.
All these words.
These fucking words. I like it. I like the whole thing. I like when Nyktos was just laid it out. I like that a lot. He was just like, nah, this is what it is. Yeah. And I also really liked where he was like, I remember you. I gave you my blessing at your wedding.
Yeah.
It was like, oh. He's like, I was sleeping. I kind of felt like I was sleeping, but like, that fucking woke up. You woke me up. And I was just like, you're fine. I liked that. I kind of liked his attitude. I am excited to find out more about him and his consort.
You think we'll get a name with this book in the fall? Like the consort's name?
Yes. And I think that name has been released.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay.
I've read a name that has been associated with these books and that book and Nyktos, but I don't know where Seraphina.
Oh.
Is the name. And I heard that she was a very difficult character for JLA to write.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
I wonder what makes it difficult.
Don't know.
I know, like I'm just like being rhetorical. I'm not asking.
I don't know. Yeah, because she's written so many books. I wonder. Yeah, you're right. I wonder what makes her like more difficult than the others. I'm interested to hear her story, though. I kind of thought the whole vampire thing would be more like predominant, I guess. But I guess since we spent so much of the time in Atlantia and they aren't vampires, that it just like wasn't a thing.
But I like it. I think maybe that's what helps keep this fresh. Because we said in our From Blood and Ash episode, we didn't see it coming. We were like, what? Well, like I didn't see the vampires were coming. And it was just a really refreshing take on the whole idea of like vampires and werewolves and it didn't feel overdone. So I feel like now in the third book, because it's still not drilled on, I'm not tired of it.
Yeah. I think it wasn't even. When Poppy was being rescued in the very beginning, she's like, where's Castile? He's like, I think he's like ripping out throats or something. It's just like, oh, yeah.
When he talks about like ripping out the spine, I was like, this shouldn't, why is this hot? Why this should not be hot? What is wrong with me? She's like, she's expecting to see a heart. She's like, and I saw something white and I realized it was his, I was like, why I'm so okay with this right now.
I am so okay with this right now.
I was on my walk when I listened to that part and I go, looking around.
It's like, can anybody hear this? Like, shit. Oh, it's amazing.
Oh, and when they're like, whenever they're doing things, he's always biting her. I don't know which one. I'm not going to say a specific thing. Everything. He's like between her legs, on her boob, on her neck, blah, blah, blah. Like every place that he can put his mouth, he is about to bite.
As somebody who suffers from sensitive boobies during that time of the month, I was just like, oh my God. I know, but I guess like.
Oh, wait.
Yeah.
I mean, she hasn't had hers yet. Oh, Castile.
I don't know if you're aware of this, but the Vampire Chronicles what are they called? Anne Rice and her vampire books. In
like
her
Interview
vampire
with
books.
The vampires.
Yeah. One of the later ones, Memnock, the Memnock one with Lestat. He is dying and he needs to feed on somebody, and he's like around this girl all the time, and she's on her period, and there's a very explicit scene where he like pulls her underwear down and sucks everything off of her pad, and then yeah, so it's been done before.
I had no idea. I've never read Anne Rice, and I still never watched Interview with the Vampire. I know, I'm in a bubble.
Interview with the Vampire is fantastic. Christian Slater, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Antonio Banderas. What else do you need?
Oh my God. I mean, peak 90s.
Oh my God. I know. Peak 90s. What else do you need? You need nothing. You need nothing. It's fantastic. Yeah. So that does happen. Also, there's baby talk in this book, right? Stop
You
the presses.
saw my face when I was just like, la, 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 la. Ugh. Why are we talking about babies
And
again?
you're right. Her period has not been addressed. And we have to assume that Castile is still taking the tonic. But
I think it's mentioned that he's like still taking a tonic, which, okay, like again, like props to female writers for making men take the tonic. Go them.
yeah, but there's baby talk. And Poppy's like, I'm picturing Castile holding a wee little baby. I was just like, no.
Why?
No.
Why does every marriage mean that you have to have? Can we normalize not wanting kids with somebody you love so much for one fucking second? Like that really bothers me. It really bothers me. Like why? Like I get it. You can love somebody so much and want to have a baby with them. Great. To each their own. But you can still love somebody so much and not want a baby with them. Like why does it all like we have like that needs to be normalized. And I thought we were there. I was hoping we were there with Reese and saying, first off, you don't have to do anything. And we were like, oh, we bow to him. It's just a problem for me. And that's not with this book. It's across
the board.
Books.
Yeah. It's across the board. I hate that too, obviously, as a married person that is choosing to not have children for several reasons. One of them just being because I don't want them.
And you know what? You don't need to but you don't need to have reasons.
Yeah.
You can not want them and that's it. Like that, there shouldn't be, you don't need to explain yourself and nor should it have to be explained. If you don't want, like, if I don't want waffles, I'm not going to go into this whole dialogue of why I don't want I just don't want waffles. Leave me alone.
Yeah. And especially in this situation, about to go to war, becoming a deity. Let's not even like talk about that. Like, have more godchildren, half godchildren. I don't need
or full
that.
If there's a joining.
Right.
Then he's...
Yeah, I don't need that. I don't need any sort of baby talk right now. It's distracting and it makes me feel icky. And it's not something like be queen first. Learn how to be queen. You're 19. Learn how to be a queen first. You have forever.
And immortal.
Yeah.
You don't, and that I know that's a big feedback with ACOFAE, amongst other things. With Feyre is a little more than 21 at this point. And she has an eternity, essentially. Now she's stuck with a kid. Like she could have had the kid at 100 and I would have been like, okay, you still have a long time, but at least you're not 21. Like, again, not against anybody who has kids who are young, but when you're looking at the bigger picture of like 900 plus years, thousands of years, like Willa, you have a little time on your hands.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be right now before we go into battle with dragons and wolven and vampires.
And like you said, like ruling a kingdom, like she has openly said, I don't know how to be queen, but I can learn. And like the pieces are there for her to be a good queen. And it reminded me like when I used to, when I was when I did the hiring at my previous job, I would so quickly, like, it's no surprise that I'm very like, nope, they're not cut for it. Nope.
Thank you next.
Right.
Thank you
not
next.
Not a surprise. Not a surprise. And then I was like, but I was the person I'd be like, how people are with dating apps, they just keep swiping left. Like that was me. I was like, no, you have to really stand out to me for me to want to pass you on. Because at that point, it's also like, if I'm hiring you, that you become connected to my name, because then you have like the bad apples who people will say like, oh, who hired this person, and I was not going to have that. And I had a manager who would say, you can't teach nice, or you can't, but he goes, you could always teach skill set. And I thought that was really important to remind myself of. Because we'd have like technical questions and I would be like, oh, they didn't get it. And he's like, yeah, but you could teach that. There's certain things you can't teach people. And that's what you need to look for. And I thought that was what her coming into like her queenness reminded me of. She's like, I don't know how to rule a kingdom. And Castile's like, I've been around it. He's like, but so have you. Like, we can do this together. And I like that she reminded herself. She goes, I didn't make the decisions, but I was always listening when I was a maiden. So I knew like the little strategy plays that people would play amongst each other, amongst the people, of knowing who to confide in. And if you wanted people to know information, you're going to kind of like let that person eavesdrop. So, you know, it gets kind of filtered the way you're more in control than you think. Mm-hmm. And I like that she's picked up on that and applying how, even though she was cloistered as a maiden, she's also using that. She's starting to realize she could use that to her advantage.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's really cute how Castile like wasn't quite sure if his crown would turn gold, right? He was like, oh, I'm so glad that my crown turned gold because I wanted a cool one like yours. But you can tell he was like, ooh, I hope it does.
Yeah. But that goes back to his imposter syndrome of like never feeling worthy enough, not just for her, but like life. Like, he just doesn't feel worthy.
So at the very end of this book, Poppy sees a little carved horse that was like Castile's childhood toy or whatever. And she's taking it with her. Like, it's said, like, she picked it up, she put it in a pouch, and she takes it with her on this mission to kill the king and send her message. What do we think that's for? I think it is if Castile like needs a reminder when he gets out, you know, that she can like, you know, hear something. It's like, right. Here I am, and like here's a tie to like your childhood or whatever to help him. That's why I think she's bringing it. But
yeah, I think it's for him. And because, you know, not only did she put it in the pouch, they make it a point later on that she takes it out and she moves it to another location. So like the attention is being drawn. And it's the horse that Malik made for Castile when they were little. He's like, I think this was like for my 6th birthday or something. He's a Gemini, June 1st. I was like, oh.
Poppy's birthday, 420, is when the book was released.
I thought that was so cute. I don't know if that was, I'm sure it was planned.
I'm sure it was planned.
But I thought that was really sweet.
It was like pick a day in April. I was like, oh, is she going to do it? Is she going to do it? Ah, she did it.
Yeah, she did. She's chill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I do look forward to, I do want to see how, I think he's not going to be in a good place. I think it's going to be doubled down from what it was before. And it's going to be faster because it's not just him. Now he's thinking of Poppy. I mean, Jalara already said that he goes, oh, you should have seen him when we like faked him out, making him think that what
you
we
were
did
dead.
to you.
Yeah.
Oh, this poor man. He is like going through 1,000 deaths thinking of like not being with Poppy. And I'm sure there's like, he's going to have there's going to be a thing where he's probably going to be like emaciated at some point, and he's going to have the bloodlust for her. Oh, but then his bloodlust will be like God blood now. So that'll like maybe help him come back quicker. And then that'll help with the joining. Maybe. I don't know. These are all these are like just like thinking out loud now.
Well, Jess, final thoughts on the book. What do you think?
I like it. I'm ready for the next one. I don't like that we have to wait till next year. I'm mad. I'm not mad. I love reading. I'm mad when I get invested into these, but I love them, these series and non-one-off books, because now you're attached and you want more, as opposed to like a one-off, you know, that it's like one and done, on to the next. You don't get that because we're connected, but I love it so much. So that's kind of my final thoughts. I'm excited. It's a good place to be. I wasn't crying. I wasn't like overwhelmed. I know a lot of people like loose reaction videos that I've kind of been scrolling past. People have been like, I'm overwhelmed. I need to do this. We're talking through it now. So, you know, I'm just excited. I'm not like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? You kind of see the direction it's going. You just got to wait for it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you completely. You can kind of see where it's going. It's really entertaining. I like it a lot.
Entertaining. That's the right word. It is absolutely entertaining.
It's completely entertaining. Are there problems? Yeah, there's problems. Is some of it kind of annoying? Yeah, some of it's kind of annoying. Is it hard to follow? No. I as I said, I totally disagree with people that say that it's too complex, that they didn't understand, like, who are these people? I feel like if you did a decent read through and didn't skip around and didn't speed read, then you have a solid foundation, and none of this should have taken you by like surprise, really, you know, like it all makes sense. The names are fucking confusing, and I can see where people would get confused about that because we were obviously confused about that, but we sorted it. Yeah, I like it. I like Poppy. I love Castile. I love Kieran. I want to have all three of them fuck, and that's where I stand.
It's a good place to stand.
It is a good place to stand. That's a hill I'll die on. One of many.
Just one giant hill. And
just
put
one.
Like all the stuff
things.
on.
Yeah. All the things.
On that hill.
Oh, yeah.
So thanks for listening this week. Next week, we have our 6 of Crows episode where we kind of go through of reading the duology, or what really feels like one giant book. And we'll go from there. Feel free to follow us on Instagram, ACOFAE Podcast. You can follow us on TikTok, ACOFAE Laura and ACOFAE Jessica. Laura is making me have such FOMO in her posts lately because she's enjoying her life in the Alps, and I just wish I was there and that Europe would open their borders for me. I feel like that TikTok sound. I was like, let me in. Let me in. I'm vaccinated. Please help.
The weather's been nice. The weather's going to be shit all next week. So I will probably be inside filming weird TikToks, but it's very difficult, but I'm learning. Please be nice.
Thanks again for listening and like laughing with us. We enjoy sharing our stories and like making new friends. So yay.
Thank you for listening.
Have a good one. Bye.